35 Black Hollywood heartthrobs who look totally different now. Welcome to Legends of Black Excellence. Some stars shine brightly, then quietly fade, while others endure storms, scandals, and second chances to reclaim their legacy. In this video, we're diving into the powerful true stories of 35 Black Hollywood heartthrobs who look totally different now. From Oscar winners to forgotten icons, their transformations will shock you, inspire you, and maybe even break your heart. Ready to see how time, fame, and fate reshape their lives? Let's get into it. Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy was once the undisputed king of comedy in Hollywood. Rising from Saturday Night Live in the early 1980s, he exploded onto the big screen with 48 Hours, 1982, Trading Places, 1983, and Beverly Hills Cop, 1984, which grossed over $316 million globally. By the late 80s, Murphy was commanding $8 to $15 million per film, making him one of the highest-paid actors of his generation. His charisma, rapid-fire wit, and box office dominance redefined what it meant to be a leading black man in Hollywood. But in May 1997, his career faced a serious public relations crisis. Around 4:45 a.m. in West Hollywood, police pulled over Murphy after he was seen picking up a 20-year-old transgender sex worker named Shalimar Soli. Though Murphy insisted he was simply offering a ride and was never charged with any crime, the media coverage was relentless. Tabloid headlines cast shadows over his character, and public perception wavered. The scandal intensified a year later when Soli died after falling from the 5th floor of her Los Angeles apartment building, an event unrelated to Murphy but one that kept his name in the press for all the wrong reasons. The controversy led to a dip in Murphy's commercial appeal. Studios hesitated, endorsements faded, and scripts stopped flowing as freely. However, his career found new life in the 2000s through family-friendly hits like The Nutty Professor, 1996, $274 million worldwide, Dr. Dolittle, and Shrek, 2001, where he voiced the iconic donkey in a franchise that earned billions. In 2006, he earned his first Oscar nomination for Dreamgirls. Murphy remains active in film and television, recently reprising his role in Coming to America, 2021, and preparing to return in Beverly Hills Cop, Axel Foley. His journey reflects the complexities of fame, soaring highs, public scrutiny, and the grit it takes to rise again. Danny Glover. Danny Glover emerged as a force in cinema during the 1980s, best known for his unforgettable role as Sergeant Roger Murtaugh in the Lethal Weapon franchise, which launched in 1987 and became one of the most successful buddy cop series in Hollywood history. Beyond the gunfights and witty one-liners, Glover brought depth, humanity, and dignity to roles that often lacked nuance for black actors. But few knew he spent his early years battling a medical condition that could have derailed his career entirely: epileptic seizures. As a young man in San Francisco, Glover suffered from unpredictable and violent seizures that left him unconscious and vulnerable. The condition followed him throughout his adolescence, striking at random and terrifying both him and his family. Doctors had no clear answers, and medication brought limited relief. Faced with the fear that he would never live a normal life, let alone perform on stage, Glover began practicing deep breathing and visualization techniques in the late 1960s. Remarkably, the seizures eventually subsided, and by age 30, they had disappeared completely. Freed from the shadow of illness, Glover embraced acting with vigor. His performances in Places in the Heart, 1984, The Color Purple, 1985, and To Sleep with Anger, 1990, earned critical acclaim, cementing his status as a dramatic powerhouse. While he never became a box office juggernaut like some of his peers, Glover carved a lasting legacy built on integrity, intellect, and compassion. Off-screen, he has been a lifelong activist, advocating for human rights, union workers, and the African diaspora. Even in his later years, Glover remains an active voice in both entertainment and politics. His journey, from a boy struggling with seizures to an international icon, is a testament to the power of perseverance and purpose over adversity. Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes was one of the most electrifying stars of the 1990s, an action hero with charisma, martial arts skill, and a screen presence that couldn't be ignored. His breakthrough in New Jack City, 1991, as drug lord Nino Brown showcased his ability to play layered characters, while White Men Can't Jump, 1992, revealed his comedic range. But it was Blade, 1998, where he portrayed a half-vampire warrior, that redefined the superhero genre and solidified Snipes as a cultural icon. Behind the success, however, was a financial misstep that led to a dramatic fall. In the early 2000s, at the peak of his fame, Snipes stopped filing federal tax returns. Advised by a fringe group that claimed income taxes were unconstitutional, he went years without paying what he owed, and even requested millions in refunds for previous years. The IRS eventually charged him with multiple counts of tax evasion. Though he avoided the most serious charges, he was convicted on 3 misdemeanor counts and sentenced to 3 years in federal prison. In December 2010, Snipes entered McKean Federal Correctional Institution and served 28 months. When he was released in 2013, Hollywood had moved on. The Blade role had been recast for Marvel's reboot, and the A-list offers had dried up. Snipes has since worked steadily in smaller roles, from The Expendables 3, 2014, to Coming to America, 2021, but never regained the star power he once held. Still, his impact remains undeniable. Blade helped lay the groundwork for the modern comic book movie era, long before the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is one of the most acclaimed actors of his generation, known not just for his performances, but for the dignity, intensity, and authority he brings to every role. His path to stardom wasn't preordained. Born in Mount Vernon, New York, Washington originally had aspirations of becoming a doctor or professional athlete. But in 1975, during a church service, an elderly woman, regarded locally as a prophet, looked into his eyes and predicted, "You're going to speak to millions." Though he brushed off the encounter at the time, those words stayed with him. It wasn't until he took a theater class at Fordham University that Washington found his true calling. His breakthrough came with Cry Freedom, 1987, earning his first Oscar nomination. 2 years later, he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in Glory, 1989. From there, he delivered powerhouse performances in Malcolm X, 1992, The Hurricane, 1999, Training Day, 2001, and Fences, 2016, for which he also directed. Washington is the recipient of 2 Academy Awards, 3 Golden Globes, and a Presidential Medal of Freedom. But beyond awards, he has redefined what it means to be a black leading man in Hollywood, balancing mainstream appeal with powerful, often politically charged narratives. He's played revolutionaries, soldiers, lawyers, and flawed anti-heroes, never shying away from roles that challenge audiences. Despite decades in the spotlight, Washington has remained grounded. Known for avoiding gossip and scandal, he keeps his personal life private, married to Pauletta Washington since 1983. He's also a devoted philanthropist, supporting scholarships, youth programs, and veteran initiatives. Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman has a voice instantly recognized around the world, but his story is as commanding as any of the characters he's portrayed. Born in 1937 in Memphis, Tennessee, Freeman didn't become a household name until later in life. His breakout came in his 50s with roles in Street Smart, 1987, and Driving Miss Daisy, 1989, but it was The Shawshank Redemption, 1994, that cemented his legendary status. By then, Freeman had already built a reputation for portraying men of wisdom, quiet strength, and moral authority, whether as a kindly chauffeur, a wise detective in Say 7 and 1995, or even God himself in Bruce Almighty, 2003. With an Oscar win for $1 Million Baby, 2004, he became one of the few black actors to hold that honor, further solidifying his place in Hollywood history. In 2008, Freeman narrowly escaped death in a serious car accident in Mississippi. His car flipped multiple times, and he suffered a shattered shoulder and severe nerve damage in his left hand, an injury that left him with permanent pain and limited mobility. Since the accident, Freeman often keeps his left hand in a glove or tucked into his jacket pocket at public events. Despite the physical toll, he returned to work months later and continued to take on major film roles. Beyond acting, Freeman is a businessman and environmental advocate. He converted his Mississippi ranch into a bee sanctuary to help combat declining bee populations and is vocal about climate issues. Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson's path to Hollywood superstardom was anything but smooth. Before becoming the highest-grossing actor in film history, with over $7 billion in global box office revenue, he battled addiction, political activism backlash, and personal demons that nearly ended his life. Born in Washington, D.C., and raised in Tennessee, Jackson initially pursued marine biology before finding theater at Morehouse College. But behind the stage lights, chaos brewed. In 1969, he participated in a radical protest at Morehouse, holding board trustees, including Martin Luther King Sr., hostage to demand reforms. The incident earned him an FBI watchlist placement and a year-long suspension. That time away from school marked the beginning of a dark descent. By the 1970s and 1980s, Jackson was heavily addicted to crack cocaine and heroin. He functioned through theater gigs but spiraled behind the scenes. In 1991, his wife LaTanya and daughter intervened. They hired someone to escort him, barely conscious, into rehab. Just months after completing treatment, Jackson was cast in Jungle Fever as a crack addict, a hauntingly personal role that earned him a special award at Cannes. From there, Pulp Fiction, 1994, catapulted him into iconic status. He went on to star in Die Hard with a Vengeance, Coach Carter, The Hateful Eight, and as Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, appearing in more than a dozen Marvel films. But Jackson's story isn't just about fame. It's about surviving when statistics say you shouldn't. His candidness about addiction, recovery, and resilience has inspired millions. Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne has forged one of the most respected careers in Hollywood, but it began with a bold and dangerous lie. At just 14 years old, he misrepresented his age to land a role in Francis Ford Coppola's epic Apocalypse Now, 1979, claiming he was 16. The production, which took place in the jungles of the Philippines, was brutal, plagued by delays, monsoons, and a grueling filming schedule. For 2 years, Fishburne lived in real wartime conditions, witnessing the mental and physical toll it took on seasoned actors like Martin Sheen and Marlon Brando. That early experience hardened him and sharpened his focus. While other child actors fizzled out, Fishburne transitioned seamlessly into adult roles. His standout performance in Boys and the Hood, 1991, as a firm but loving father introduced him to a new generation. He went on to play Ike Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It, 1993, earning an Oscar nomination, and achieved global stardom as Morpheus in the Matrix trilogy, where he delivered one of the most iconic mentor roles in science fiction history. Fishburne is known for his gravitas, often portraying authoritative figures with depth and conviction. But he's also a talented stage actor and writer, winning a Tony Award and an Emmy. He has refused to be typecast, choosing complex characters over commercial formulas. Off-screen, Fishburne is a private figure, avoiding tabloid culture. He quietly works behind the scenes as a producer and advocate for Black storytelling. Despite not being cast in the latest Matrix sequel, his legacy within the franchise and beyond remains unshaken. Will Smith. Will Smith rose from sitcom charm to global superstardom in a way few have. Bursting onto the scene with The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in 1990, he quickly transitioned into blockbuster territory with back-to-back hits like Independence Day, 1996, which grossed over $800 million globally, and Men in Black, 1997, solidifying his reputation as one of the most bankable stars of the late 90s and early 2000s. By 2008, Smith had 8 consecutive films that opened at #1 at the box office, a record few could touch. But in March 2022, a single impulsive moment at the Academy Awards overshadowed decades of goodwill. During the live broadcast, comedian Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head, a result of her alopecia. In response, Smith walked on stage and slapped Rock, then returned to his seat and shouted, "Keep my wife's name out your ing mouth." The incident stunned millions watching worldwide. Just 40 minutes later, Smith accepted the Oscar for Best Actor for his performance in King Richard, 2021, but the victory felt hollow. The backlash was immediate. The Academy banned him from attending the Oscars for 10 years. Studios put major projects on hold, including Bad Boys 4 and Netflix's Fast and Loose. Financial analysts estimated he lost at least $350 million in future earnings due to paused or canceled deals. Despite the fallout, Smith remains a deeply influential figure in entertainment. His apology tour was met with mixed reactions, but he continues working. Bad Boys 4 has resumed production, and his global fanbase has shown signs of forgiveness. Delroy Lindo. Delroy Lindo has long been one of Hollywood's most respected yet underappreciated actors. With a commanding presence and a voice that exudes quiet intensity, he delivered unforgettable performances in Malcolm X, 1992, Crooklyn, 1994, and Get Shorty, 1995. But what many don't know is that his career nearly ended before it truly began, due to a single decision. In the late 1970s, Lindo had just landed a breakout opportunity with a role in More American Graffiti, 1979, the sequel to George Lucas's iconic film. Momentum was building, and top-tier directors were beginning to notice him, including Francis Ford Coppola. Yet, at a moment when most actors would have doubled down on their Hollywood prospects, Lindo walked away. Believing the theater was a purer form of art, he returned to the stage, rejecting the mainstream commercial world. The move came at a cost. The plays he joined flopped, and his income dried up. For nearly a decade, Lindo drifted on the margins, almost forgotten by the very industry he once seemed destined to conquer. But fate offered him one more chance. In 1992, director Spike Lee cast him as West Indian Archie in Malcolm X. Lindo seized the role with unmatched gravity, reigniting his career. From there, he became a go-to actor for complex characters, whether in Clockers, 1995, The Cider House Rules, 1999, or Da 5 Bloods, 2020, where his portrayal of a tormented Vietnam veteran earned him critical raves. Though he was shockingly snubbed by the Oscars, fans and critics alike recognized the performance as a career best. Ving Rhames. Ving Rhames has one of the most unforgettable presences in Hollywood, a deep, resonant voice, a towering figure, and a level of intensity that commands every scene. He's best known for roles like Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction, 1994, and Luther Stickle in the Mission: Impossible series. But perhaps his most iconic moment came not in a film, but on a live awards show. In 1998, Rhames won the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a TV movie for his portrayal of Don King in Don King, Only in America. As he stepped on stage to accept the award, he did something no one expected. He handed the trophy to fellow nominee Jack Lemmon, stating that Lemmon was more deserving. The gesture stunned the audience into silence before erupting into applause. It remains one of the most talked about moments in Golden Globe history and a defining snapshot of Rhames's humility and respect for craft. Born and raised in Harlem, Rhames came from a tough background but earned a scholarship to the Juilliard School, where he studied drama alongside other future greats. Despite his classical training, Hollywood often cast him in tough guy or villainous roles. Yet he consistently brought complexity and soul to those parts, refusing to let them become stereotypes. While he never became a leading man in the traditional sense, Rhames built a lasting career in both film and television. He has over 100 credits to his name and remains a staple in the Mission Impossible franchise, one of the few actors to appear in every installment since 1996. Charles S. Dutton. Charles S. Dutton's journey to Hollywood was anything but conventional. It began not in an acting school or audition room, but behind bars. Born and raised in the rough neighborhoods of Baltimore, Dutton got into frequent trouble as a teenager. At 17, during a street fight, he was involved in an altercation that ended in a man's death. Convicted of manslaughter, he was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Life inside was brutal, but it was there that Dutton discovered his true calling. During a stint in solitary confinement, he stumbled upon an anthology of black plays. Something clicked. Upon release in 1976, he didn't return to the streets. He pursued education with relentless focus. He attended Towson University, then earned a scholarship to the prestigious Yale School of Drama, where he studied alongside future stars and learned to master the stage. Dutton's career flourished in the 1990s with acclaimed performances in Rock, 1991 to 1994, Rudy, 1993, A Time to Kill, 1996, and The Corner, 2000, earning him multiple Emmy nominations and wins. What set him apart wasn't just his talent, it was the raw authenticity he brought to every role, informed by the life he lived before fame. Unlike many who shy away from their past, Dutton speaks openly about his prison years, using his story to mentor at-risk youth and advocate for prison reform. He became not just an actor, but a symbol of redemption. Cuba Gooding Jr. Cuba Gooding Jr. experienced one of the fastest rises, and most dramatic downfalls, in recent Hollywood history. He captivated audiences in Boys and the Hood, 1991, but it was his role as Rod Tidwell in Jerry Maguire, 1996, that launched him into superstardom. His exuberant Oscar acceptance speech, punctuated by the now famous line, "Show me the money," became a cultural moment, signaling the arrival of a new kind of star, one with charisma, emotional range, and box office appeal. However, after that peak, his career choices became increasingly erratic. Gooding starred in a string of critically panned comedies and underwhelming dramas like Snow Dogs, 2002, Boat Trip, 2002, and Daddy Day Camp, 2007. These films damaged his reputation, leading to a decline in quality roles and credibility. A brief resurgence came in 2016 with his role as O.J. Simpson in The People v. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story, which introduced him to a new generation of viewers. But any momentum was derailed in 2019 when Gooding was arrested for groping a woman at a New York bar. The incident, captured on surveillance video, led to further allegations. Over 30 women came forward accusing him of inappropriate behavior dating back nearly 2 decades. In 2022, he pleaded guilty to 1 count of forcible touching as part of a plea deal, avoiding jail but undergoing mandated treatment. Once viewed as a promising, energetic force in film, Gooding's name became entangled with legal woes and public scrutiny. Though he continues to work in smaller projects, the sheen of his Oscar glory has long since faded. Blair Underwood. Blair Underwood has long been known for his smooth charisma, striking screen presence, and versatility as an actor. Rising to prominence in the late 1980s with his role as attorney Jonathan Rollins on L.A. Law, Underwood quickly became a symbol of sophistication and strength in Black Hollywood. With performances in films like Set It Off, 1996, and Deep Impact, 1998, he proved his range, moving seamlessly between drama, romance, and action. Off-screen, Underwood cultivated a reputation as a devoted family man. In 1994, he married Desiree DaCosta, and for nearly 3 decades, their relationship was seen as one of the most enduring and scandal-free in the entertainment world. Together they raised 3 children, and Underwood often credited his wife for grounding him in an industry known for its chaos. That's why in 2021, fans were stunned when the couple announced their divorce after 27 years of marriage. The split, though amicable, sparked speculation, especially when Underwood soon revealed he was engaged to Josie Hart, a woman he had known for over 40 years. The announcement left many wondering whether there was more to the story behind the breakup of what once seemed like a model Hollywood union. Underwood and Hart married in June 2023, surrounded by friends and industry peers. While he never addressed the speculation directly, the timing of his new relationship raised eyebrows among longtime fans. Courtney B. Vance. Courtney B. Vance is one of the most quietly powerful performers in Hollywood, an actor whose craft consistently speaks louder than celebrity. A graduate of Harvard and the Yale School of Drama, Vance has built a reputation on intelligence, subtlety, and emotional depth. From his early appearances in The Hunt for Red October, 1990, and Dangerous Minds, 1995, to his commanding turn as Johnny Cochran in The People v. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story, 2016, which earned him an Emmy Award, Vance has made a career out of roles that require both gravitas and nuance. His personal life has been equally admired. In 1997, he married actress Angela Bassett, forming one of Hollywood's most respected and long-standing power couples. The two endured years of fertility struggles before welcoming twins via surrogacy in 2006. Vance often credits Bassett for being his partner in both life and purpose, and together, they've become champions for Black excellence in film, family, and philanthropy. But behind the calm exterior, Vance faced a devastating personal tragedy in 2018 when his mother, Leslie Vance, died by suicide at the age of 85. Her death came as a shock to those who knew her. She was described as vibrant and strong, a pillar in the community. For Vance, the loss was crushing. He quietly stepped away from the spotlight, grieving away from the cameras and public gaze. 2 years later, he made a powerful return with a role in Lovecraft Country, 2020, once again earning critical acclaim. During his Emmy acceptance speech, he paid tribute to his mother with emotion and vulnerability, revealing the depth of his pain and resilience. Giancarlo Esposito. Giancarlo Esposito has become one of television's most unforgettable villains, but his journey to that status was paved with rejection, identity struggles, and late-blooming recognition. Born in Copenhagen to an African-American mother and Italian father, Esposito moved to the U.S. at a young age and found himself caught between cultures. Too black to be accepted by the white Hollywood establishment, and too ethnically ambiguous to land traditional black roles, he spent decades typecast in minor, forgettable parts throughout the 1980s and 90s. Despite his extensive training and stage experience, Esposito was overlooked again and again. Though he appeared in respected films like Do the Right Thing, 1989, and The Usual Suspects, 1995, mainstream stardom remained elusive. By his late 40s, he considered leaving the industry altogether. Then, in 2009, at age 51, everything changed. He was cast as Gustavo "Gus" Fring on Breaking Bad, a role originally intended for a few episodes. But his chilling, precise performance captivated audiences and writers alike, transforming Gus into one of the most iconic villains in television history. The character's popularity revived Esposito's career, leading to Emmy nominations and further success as Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian, 2019 to 2023. Behind the scenes, Esposito's personal life was also evolving. His 20-year marriage ended in divorce, and financial struggles forced him to declare bankruptcy. Still, he pressed forward, continuing to work while raising his 4 daughters. Through hardship and reinvention, he proved that reinvention isn't just possible, it's powerful. Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker lit up the screen with a comedic style that was explosive, high-pitched, and entirely his own. He stole scenes in Friday, 1995, and catapulted to international stardom with Rush Hour, 1998, where his chemistry with Jackie Chan and rapid-fire dialogue made the film a global sensation, grossing over $244 million. By the time Rush Hour 2 and Rush Hour 3 followed, he became the highest-paid actor in Hollywood, reportedly earning $25 million for the third installment. But after that peak, Tucker all but vanished from the screen. Behind the scenes, financial troubles were mounting. Tucker had reportedly been living lavishly, buying mansions, luxury cars, and traveling on private jets. But poor financial management and unpaid taxes caught up with him. In 2011, the IRS filed a $11.5 million lien against him, which eventually ballooned to over $14 million by 2014. The once flashy comedian was forced to sell his properties and take lower-paying roles just to stay afloat. Despite his money woes, Tucker refused to compromise his beliefs. He became a born-again Christian and began turning down roles he felt conflicted with his faith, one of the reasons he declined to return for Friday sequels. While that decision aligned with his personal convictions, it also cost him momentum in an industry where visibility is everything. He attempted a comeback with a Netflix stand-up special, Chris Tucker Live, 2015, which was well received but failed to launch him back into A-list territory. Though Rush Hour 4 has been rumored for years, the film remains in development limbo. Taye Diggs. Taye Diggs emerged in the late 1990s as one of Hollywood's most magnetic new leading men. With his breakout role as the charming Winston Shakespeare in How Stella Got Her Groove Back, 1998, he quickly became a symbol of suave, contemporary black masculinity on screen. Films like The Best Man, 1999, and Brown Sugar, 2002, solidified his appeal, and he seemed poised to maintain a steady place at the top of romantic dramas and ensemble features. But Diggs' career took a quieter turn in the years that followed, and behind the scenes, personal challenges were mounting. His 2003 marriage to Broadway powerhouse Idina Menzel, whom he met during the original run of Rent, was celebrated as a symbol of love transcending racial and cultural lines. Yet their union became a target for criticism from parts of the public who disapproved of the interracial relationship, especially from online forums and fans of both actors. After a decade of marriage, Diggs and Menzel divorced in 2013. Rumors swirled about infidelity, though neither party ever confirmed such claims. The divorce, combined with the gradual decline in high-profile film offers, seemed to push Diggs to the industry's periphery. But Diggs is nothing if not adaptable. In the mid-2010s, he embraced social media, especially TikTok, where his offbeat humor and light-hearted videos went viral. This unexpected reintroduction to fans, paired with his return in The Best Man, The Final Chapters, 2022, rekindled public interest and reminded audiences of his enduring charm. Morris Chestnut. Morris Chestnut burst into the hearts of audiences with his role as Ricky in Boys and the Hood, 1991, a brief but unforgettable performance that made him an instant fan favorite. From there, he transitioned into a series of roles that capitalized on his stoic intensity and romantic appeal. By the late 90s and early 2000s, he was a mainstay in urban dramas and romantic comedies, notably The Best Man, 1999, and The Brothers, 2001, which solidified his status as a leading man. Despite his popularity, Chestnut's career didn't always follow the trajectory many expected. While other contemporaries rose to blockbuster fame, Chestnut often found himself in B-list thrillers or made-for-TV movies. Some speculated that Hollywood's reluctance to fully embrace black male leads in mainstream genres played a role in his underutilization. Others pointed to his tendency to take safe roles that didn't push boundaries or attract awards buzz. Still, Chestnut never stopped working. He consistently appeared in television series like Nurse Jackie, Legends, and Rosewood, where he played complex, disciplined characters who mirrored his off-screen image, polished, professional, and respected. In 2013, he returned to the role of Lance Sullivan in The Best Man Holiday, reigniting the franchise and reminding audiences of the emotional weight he could carry. Unlike many who chase controversy or reinvention, Chestnut has carved out a career based on stability and consistency. His lack of tabloid drama and careful role selection may have kept him under the radar at times, but it also cemented his reputation as one of the most reliable actors in the business. Larenz Tate. Larenz Tate made a powerful impression in the 1990s with his breakthrough role as O-Dog in Menace to Society, 1993, delivering a raw, fearless performance that instantly set him apart. While many young actors struggled to escape typecasting after roles in street dramas, Tate avoided that fate by showing remarkable range. From the poetic Darius in Love Jones, 1997, to roles in Why Do Fools Fall in Love and Dead Presidents, he built a reputation as one of the most versatile actors of his generation. Yet, despite critical acclaim and a loyal fanbase, Tate's career didn't rise to the superstar heights many expected. As the 2000s progressed, his appearances became less frequent. Rather than chasing every opportunity, Tate was highly selective, often turning down roles that felt repetitive or didn't align with his creative vision. While that integrity preserved his artistry, it also meant fewer headlines and reduced visibility in an industry where out of sight often means out of mind. For over a decade, Tate largely operated outside the mainstream spotlight. Then, in 2017, he returned to prominence with his role as Councilman Rashad Tate in the hit Starz series Power. His portrayal of a smooth-talking, morally ambiguous politician earned praise and introduced him to a new generation of viewers. The role was so popular it led to a spin-off, Power Book 2, Ghost, securing his place in one of the most influential black-led franchises on television. Mekhi Phifer. Mekhi Phifer was once among the most in-demand young actors of the late 1990s and early 2000s. He debuted in Spike Lee's Clockers, 1995, and quickly became a standout for his intensity and emotional depth. He went on to star in Soul Food, 1997, Paid in Full, 2002, and perhaps most famously, opposite Eminem in 8 Mile, 2002. But his most consistent role came on television as Dr. Greg Pratt in ER, where he appeared from 2002 to 2008, solidifying his position in one of the most acclaimed medical dramas of all time. At the height of his career, Phifer seemed unstoppable. He was earning hundreds of thousands per episode, working alongside top-tier talent, and regularly appearing on magazine covers. Yet by 2014, his career hit a major snag. That year, he filed for bankruptcy, revealing over $1.3 million in debt. Court documents listed just $67,000 in assets, including a $600 watch and 2 firearms. The news shocked fans and painted a stark contrast to the glamorous life many assumed he lived. Financial setbacks aside, Phifer never disappeared. He continued to take on roles in projects like Divergent, 2014 to 2016, and Truth Be Told, 2019-present, maintaining a steady presence in TV and film, albeit at a lower profile. Despite the career slowdown, his performances have remained consistent, reminding audiences of the talent that brought him fame in the first place. Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle has built a career on quiet excellence and commanding versatility, consistently elevating every project he's part of. His early breakout came with Devil in a Blue Dress, 1995, where his scene-stealing performance alongside Denzel Washington signaled the arrival of a major talent. From there, he delivered powerful turns in Boogie Nights, 1997, Out of Sight, 1998, and Hotel Rwanda, 2004, the latter earning him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. Despite his talent, Cheadle's journey in Hollywood was far from smooth. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, he often found himself relegated to supporting roles, even in projects where he carried emotional weight. Industry insiders attributed this to racial bias and a lack of leading roles for black actors, regardless of their skill. Cheadle rarely spoke publicly about the barriers, choosing instead to let his work speak volumes. In 2010, his career reached a new level when he joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe as James "Rhodey" Rhodes, aka War Machine, replacing Terrence Howard in Iron Man 2. The role brought him global visibility and box office security, allowing him to balance blockbuster roles with independent and socially conscious projects. He later starred in and produced House of Lies, earning a Golden Globe for his portrayal of a morally slippery consultant. Cheadle is also an activist and filmmaker, known for speaking out on humanitarian issues and for his behind-the-scenes efforts to champion diversity. As a director, he made his debut with Miles Ahead, 2015, a bold biopic about jazz legend Miles Davis. Michael Beach. Michael Beach may not be a household name, but his presence has been felt across decades of television and film, consistently delivering grounded, emotionally charged performances. From One False Move, 1992, to Waiting to Exhale, 1995, Beach carved out a niche playing complex, flawed men, husbands, fathers, and authority figures navigating turbulent emotions and moral gray areas. Though his talent was undeniable, Beach never quite reached A-list status. Part of that stemmed from Hollywood's tendency to typecast him in the troubled black man archetype, reliable but often overlooked when it came time for awards and recognition. However, behind the scenes, a personal controversy nearly derailed his career altogether. In the late 1990s, Beach faced public backlash when his ex-wife accused him of having an affair with a co-star and allegedly using joint finances to support the relationship. The scandal wasn't just tabloid fodder, it had tangible effects on his professional life. Contracts were pulled, casting slowed, and the quiet momentum he'd been building began to unravel. Though no legal charges were filed, the damage to his reputation lingered. Still, Beach refused to be defined by that chapter. In 2005, he made a comeback through television, with a standout role on NBC's Third Watch. His steady performances led to recurring appearances in shows like Sons of Anarchy, The 100, and Chicago PD. Later, he joined the DC Extended Universe as Jesse Kane in Aquaman, 2018, reintroducing him to a broader audience. Mario Van Peebles. Mario Van Peebles is more than just an actor. He's a filmmaker, cultural disruptor, and the son of a revolutionary. Bursting onto the scene in the early 1990s, Van Peebles made a bold statement with New Jack City, 1991, a crime drama he directed and starred in. The film was a massive success, grossing over $47 million on a $8 million budget and influencing a generation of black cinema. It proved that black filmmakers could create stylish, commercially viable films without sacrificing substance. But that very success made him a threat to Hollywood's gatekeepers. While New Jack City earned him acclaim, it also made some studios wary. Van Peebles refused to play by the rules, continuing to tackle racially charged and politically provocative material. Films like Posse, 1993, a black western, and Panther, 1995, a dramatization of the Black Panther Party, were met with lukewarm studio support and limited distribution. Despite his proven ability to direct and lead, major studios pulled back, effectively shutting him out of mainstream filmmaking. Rather than conform, Van Peebles shifted his focus to television, directing episodes of Damages, Empire, and Being Mary Jane, while acting sporadically. In 2003, he wrote and directed Badasses, a biopic chronicling his father Melvin Van Peebles' struggle to create Sweet Sweetback's Badasses song, 1971. The film received critical acclaim and served as both a tribute and a declaration of independence from a system that marginalized black storytellers. Van Peebles never bowed to Hollywood's pressures. His career may not have followed the typical arc of a blockbuster star, but his influence runs deep. He opened doors, challenged norms, and kept the spirit of independent black cinema alive. His legacy lies not in fame, but in fearless, uncompromising creativity. Richard Roundtree. Richard Roundtree wasn't just a movie star, he was a cinematic groundbreaker. In 1971, he became the face of a movement when he starred as Private Detective John Shaft in Shaft. With his leather trench coat, smooth swagger, and uncompromising attitude, Roundtree redefined what it meant to be a black man on screen. Shaft wasn't just a hit, it was revolutionary, grossing $12 million on a $500,000 budget and helping launch the blaxploitation era. Suddenly, black audiences had a new kind of hero, cool, assertive, and unapologetically black. But behind the scenes, Roundtree was fighting a battle few knew about. In 1993, he was diagnosed with male breast cancer, a condition rarely discussed, let alone among men in Hollywood. He underwent a double mastectomy and chemotherapy, quietly enduring the treatment while continuing to work. It wasn't until years later that he went public with his diagnosis, becoming an advocate for awareness and early detection, particularly among men. Despite the impact of Shaft, Roundtree struggled to escape the shadow of his iconic role. Typecasting limited his opportunities, and he spent years in supporting parts across TV and film. Yet he never stopped working, appearing in shows like Desperate Housewives, Being Mary Jane, and reprising his role in later Shaft films alongside Samuel L. Jackson. Roundtree passed away from pancreatic cancer on October 24, 2023, at the age of 81. His death marked the loss of a trailblazer whose legacy went beyond any single character. He didn't just open doors, he kicked them down. Ernie Hudson. Ernie Hudson carved a lasting place in pop culture history with his role as Winston Zeddemore in Ghostbusters, 1984, a film that became an instant classic. But while Ghostbusters launched his image into the spotlight, behind the scenes, Hudson experienced one of the industry's most frustrating realities, being marginalized in the very franchise that made him famous. Originally, Winston was supposed to be one of the core four, appearing early in the film with a substantial backstory. But as production evolved, the role was dramatically reduced. Key lines were reassigned to other characters, and Hudson's character didn't appear until well into the second act. While Ghostbusters became a box office juggernaut, grossing nearly $300 million globally, Hudson felt sidelined and underappreciated, a feeling that lingered as the franchise continued. Despite that, Hudson never stopped working. He built a long, steady career in both film and television, often portraying authoritative figures, military officers, police captains, and fathers, with grounded strength. He appeared in The Crow, 1994, Oz, and Grace and Frankie, demonstrating his versatility across genres and platforms. His long-overdue redemption came with Ghostbusters, Afterlife, 2021, where his character was finally given the spotlight he'd long deserved. The film not only brought back Hudson in a meaningful way but also acknowledged his importance to the team, offering a narrative and emotional closure that fans and the actor himself appreciated. Keith David. Keith David is one of the most recognizable voices in Hollywood, deep, commanding, and instantly authoritative. But long before his voice became iconic in video games like Halo and animated series like Gargoyles, David was making his mark on screen with a powerful presence and unwavering commitment to character work. He debuted in John Carpenter's The Thing, 1982, a film now considered a horror classic, and followed up with another Carpenter cult hit, They Live, 1988, where he delivered one of the most memorable fight scenes in film history. Despite his talent and early success, David never became a household name in the way some of his peers did. Hollywood frequently cast him in supporting roles, often overlooking his potential as a leading man. Whether playing military officers, detectives, or mentors, he consistently brought gravitas and intensity, even when the roles didn't allow for much range. Rather than fade into obscurity, David leaned into voice acting. His unmistakable baritone became a gold standard in narration, lending depth to countless projects. In the world of gaming and animation, he became a legend. While live-action fame proved elusive, his voice became an essential part of American pop culture, respected, imitated, and instantly recognizable. Even so, David never stopped pursuing challenging roles. He delivered moving performances in Crash, 2004, Greenleaf, and Nope, 2022, proving that he was more than a powerful voice. He was a commanding actor with emotional depth and sharp instincts. Abba Babatunde. Abba Babatunde is the definition of a multifaceted performer, a true Renaissance man in the world of entertainment. With a career spanning more than 4 decades, over 400 credits, and a resume that includes acting, singing, dancing, and directing, he is one of the most prolific yet consistently overlooked talents in Hollywood. His breakthrough performance in Dreamgirls on Broadway in 1981 showcased his extraordinary vocal and stage presence, earning him a Tony Award nomination and launching him into the spotlight. While many of his Dreamgirls co-stars transitioned to high-profile film careers, Babatunde found himself relegated to supporting roles. Despite standout performances in Philadelphia, 1993, The Temptations miniseries, 1998, and Life, 1999, the leading roles rarely came his way. But rather than fade into the background, he embraced the work, bringing a dignified, magnetic energy to every character, no matter the size of the role. Known for portraying fathers, pastors, judges, and wise elders, Babatunde brings authenticity and gravitas to roles that often become the moral center of the story. He is equally comfortable in theater, film, television, and voice work, appearing in shows like The Bold and the Beautiful, Greenleaf, and SWAT. In 2016, after decades of service to the arts, he won a Daytime Emmy Award for his role in The Bold and the Beautiful, a long-overdue recognition for his talent and consistency. Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright is one of Hollywood's most intellectually gifted and critically respected actors, known for his ability to disappear into roles with remarkable precision. After graduating from Amherst College with a political science degree and briefly considering law school, Wright took a leap of faith into acting, and never looked back. His career took off in 1993 with Basquiat, where he portrayed the enigmatic artist Jean-Michel Basquiat, earning widespread acclaim for his emotionally raw performance. Wright has since built a career defined not by stardom, but by substance. He delivered scene-stealing performances in Angels in America, Syriana, Casino Royale, The Hunger Games, and HBO's Westworld, where he played Bernard Lowe, a role that earned him multiple Emmy nominations. In every part he takes on, whether it's an introspective revolutionary or a calculating tech executive, Wright brings intelligence, complexity, and humanity. Despite his long list of accomplishments, Wright has remained refreshingly low-profile. Rarely caught in scandal or celebrity spectacle, he chooses roles with clear artistic or political value, often spotlighting underrepresented voices and themes. As a black actor in an industry that often typecasts, Wright's ability to navigate both mainstream blockbusters and independent dramas speaks to his extraordinary range and strategic career choices. In 2022, he earned an Oscar nomination for American Fiction, 2023, finally bringing wider recognition to a career that has long been admired within the industry. He also stepped into the role of Commissioner Gordon in The Batman, 2022, becoming the first black actor to portray the character in a live-action film. David Alan Grier. David Alan Grier is a master of comedy and a seasoned actor whose career spans decades, stages, and screens. Trained at Yale School of Drama, Grier began with classical theater, making his Broadway debut in The First, 1981, a musical about Jackie Robinson. But it was his run on the groundbreaking sketch comedy show In Living Color, 1990 to 1994, that introduced him to millions and revealed his comedic genius. Alongside talents like Jim Carrey and Jamie Foxx, Grier's range in character work and satire became essential to the show's cultural impact. Despite his comedy credentials, Grier never allowed himself to be boxed in. He moved between genres with ease, appearing in everything from Boomerang, 1992, to Jumanji, 1995, while also remaining active on Broadway and in television dramas. His reputation as a deeply skilled performer grew steadily, even as the mainstream spotlight dimmed during the 2000s. But behind his sharp wit was personal hardship. In 2009, Grier went through a difficult divorce that left him emotionally shaken. Combined with the challenges of aging in an industry obsessed with youth and trendiness, his career momentum slowed. Still, he never lost faith in his craft. His resilience paid off. In 2020, Grier delivered a widely praised performance in the Broadway revival of A Soldier's Play, winning a Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Play. The recognition served as both a comeback and a reminder: David Alan Grier is more than a comedian. He's a theatrical force with dramatic weight and impeccable timing. Bill Duke. Bill Duke is instantly recognizable for his imposing height, intense stare, and voice that rumbles with authority. Whether playing a ruthless detective, a stoic assassin, Or a world-weary mentor, Duke commands attention without saying a word. He broke into Hollywood in the 1970s, but it was his roles in Predator, 1987, Commando, 1985, and Menace to Society, 1993, that cemented his place as one of the most unforgettable character actors of his era. But Duke's path to success wasn't just about acting. Before becoming a staple of action and crime films, he was a quiet, sensitive boy who endured relentless bullying. Beaten daily on his way to school, he eventually took control of his body and his narrative, growing into a 6 feet 4 inches figure whose size mirrored his internal strength. Still, the trauma lingered, and he channeled it into his art. Duke didn't stop at acting. He became a director and producer, helming projects like Deep Cover, 1992, and Hoodlum, 1997, both of which tackled crime, race, and power with a distinctive edge. Behind the camera, he became an advocate for black stories told with nuance and complexity. In 2005, Duke faced a personal health battle when he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Rather than retreat from the public eye, he used his platform to speak out about men's health, especially within the black community, encouraging early detection and open dialogue. Michael T. Williamson. Michael T. Williamson is best remembered by many as Bubba, the shrimp-obsessed soldier with a heart of gold in Forrest Gump, 1994. His performance was so memorable and emotionally resonant that it became a cultural touchstone. But that same role also created an unexpected obstacle in his career. Casting directors and audiences mistakenly believed he was mentally challenged in real life. The realism of his performance became a curse. Williamson had to work harder to prove his range and intelligence in an industry too quick to pigeonhole. Yet, long before Forrest Gump, Williamson had been steadily building his career. With early appearances in Miami Vice, Streets of Fire, and Free Willy, he was recognized for his versatility. After Forrest Gump, he pivoted to more complex roles, portraying strong, often stoic characters in projects like Heat, 1995, Waiting to Exhale, 1995, and Soul of the Game, 1996, where he played baseball legend Josh Gibson. In 1998, Williamson's career hit a crisis point when he was arrested for allegedly stabbing his ex-wife's boyfriend. The charges made headlines and cast a shadow over his rising profile. Though he was eventually acquitted and avoided a prison sentence, the incident nearly ended his career. Hollywood backed away, and the offers slowed. But Williamson didn't give up. He rebuilt, taking roles in films and series like 24, Justified, and Fences, 2016, where he reunited with Denzel Washington. He delivered every performance with quiet intensity and earned respect not just as a survivor, but as a craftsman. Glynn Turman. Glynn Turman has lived through every era of modern black Hollywood, and helped shape it. He began his career on Broadway at just 12 years old, originating the role of Travis Younger in Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun, 1959. From there, he moved seamlessly into television, becoming one of the first black actors to lead a drama series with Room 222 in the 1970s. Turman's film work in the 1980s and 90s, including Cooley High, 1975, Gremlins, 1984, and Men of Honor, 2000, showed his ability to balance gravity and warmth. But it wasn't until his unforgettable role as Baltimore Mayor Clarence Royce in The Wire that a new generation truly recognized his depth. He later followed it up with powerful turns in House of Lies, Queen Sugar, and How to Get Away with Murder. Yet Turman's greatest heartbreak may have been off-screen. In 1978, he married legendary soul singer Aretha Franklin. The marriage, though filled with promise, was rocky, strained by distance, addiction, and difficulties connecting with Franklin's children. The two quietly divorced after just 4 years. Though Turman rarely speaks publicly about the relationship, it remains a poignant chapter in a life marked by both triumph and quiet sorrow. Even after decades in the industry, Turman's work continues to impress. In 2008, he won a Primetime Emmy for his role in In Treatment, finally receiving long overdue recognition. At 78, he continues to act with passion and purpose, recently appearing in Women of the Movement and Jordan Peele's Nope. These legendary actors have faced career highs, personal trials, and moments that reshaped their paths forever. Which story moved you the most, or surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this journey through Black Hollywood's past and present, don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence for more untold stories that deserve the spotlight.